Here.
Monte Castaneda excused. Jackie De Leon.
Present.
Melissa Di-Ortiz.
Aquí.
Anderson Deng.
Right here.
Tom Dowd and Goody Dunkley excused. Karen Eason.
Here.
Councilmembers Eugene and Ferraris excused. Helen Foreman Hines. Joe Gagliardo. Tessa Hackett-Riera excused. Greg Hambrick.
Here.
Helen Hartman-Kudnowski.
Present.
Anthony Jones excused. Candace Julian.
Present.
Linda Cash excused. I'm sorry, it's the first time I'm saying it. How do you-
Susanna.
Susanna, okay. Susanna Davis. Are you here?
I certainly am.
All right. Okay. Stephanie Lane excused. Monica Major.
Here.
That's why you're okay. Jessica Mates. Harold Miller or Elise Veal. Okay. Anna Cisneros. Sandy Myers. Yeah, James Odo excused. Robert Oliva. Dr. Patel, Senator Perkins, and Clary Phillip excused. Joe Pierre excused. Regina Pereira, Ryan. Tamika Robinson. Barbara Sherman. Yep. Dahlia Soto.
Here.
Peter Weiss. And Vera Williams and Bernice Johnson excused. So you have.
Okay, great. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. First off, thanks for being patient as we changed the date of the meeting. With all that's going on, we had the meeting scheduled and it happened to fall on the same date as the election. So obviously we wanted to make the decision to reschedule, and of course we reschedule on a day that the focus is. So we were like 2 for 2. But nonetheless, we knew that some people wouldn't be able to make it as a result. But we thank you for coming nonetheless. So a couple of housekeeping items. If you haven't done so already, in the lobby area, there are 2 forms that need to be filled out. I know that we emailed. One is a conflict of interest form and one is a contact information form. Please, if you haven't done so at some point during this meeting or before you leave, please complete that and leave it with a member of DYCD so that information is updated. All right, first order of business, the minutes from our last meeting was emailed. It should be in your packet there. Hopefully you have reviewed. And if so, now I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from our last meeting. And please, when you make a motion, just state your name for the stenographer. All right, motion.
Second.
Been properly seconded by Gloria Benfield. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstain. There being none, so moved. All right, so we have 2 new members. I'm not sure if they're present here. Are they?
Yes.
They are. Okay, I'm sorry I wasn't the roll call. So we have Jack Erdos. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Yes. Jack Erdos, representing Region 14, Brooklyn 11, 13, and 15. And Kristen Rodriguez.
Present.
Thank you. Representing Region 10, Brooklyn 1, 2, and 4. Welcome to the board. Thank you for attending. If you want to say a few words to address the board, you can do so at this time. Introduce yourself and say a couple of words.
Christian Rodriguez. Hello, everyone. I would like to say just thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve.
Appreciate it. Look forward to working with you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jack Erdos. Looking forward to working with many of you and being active in the board. And basically, cutting it short because the Pope is here. We got to get going.
Well said. I like short and sweet. So we thank you and welcome to the board, and we look forward to your service and working with you. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to recognize the new 2 members to the board. Been moved.
Second.
Been properly second by Gloria Benfield. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstained, there being none, so moved. Welcome to the board, and thank you.
Thank you.
So also, this is going to be the final meeting for two of our board members. One is present here, Mr. Anderson Dang, who's been serving faithfully for quite some time. His term is up for this particular board, so he'll be serving in this capacity in his last board meeting today. And Clary Phillip, who is also part of the executive committee as the secretary, this is his last meeting as well. He's not present today. So first off, on behalf of the board, Anderson, we certainly want to thank you for your service. We're going to invite you to the next meeting and certainly give you a proper send-off. We're going to give you an opportunity to address the board at this time, if you choose to do so. Would you like to say anything?
I've been here for quite a long time, so yeah. Finally come to the final meeting, and yes, I appreciate it, whatever that I can learn from here, and that I can contribute it as well. But it's lucky for this year, finally I see the Chinese New Year on the school calendar, finally. Okay, so I'm happy, and then I participate all of the event. We go to Albany, we go to different event location as well. So I attend the training, a wonderful, very good experience for my lifetime here. Yeah, thank you all. Thank you for all the mentors here. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. And with Clary Phillip rounding out his term, that creates a vacancy on the executive board for secretary. So we will be addressing that at the next meeting. Certainly you can look forward to some emails in terms of individuals on the board who may be interested in that, and that'll be vetted through that process, so you can look forward to that as well. Next up, we're going to have Alan Shea, who is the Associate Commissioner of Finance, who's going to go through our quarterly reports. That's in your packet.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm Alan Chang. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for NYCD, and I'm also going to try to be brief as well. But you have the handout. There are two charts that are in your package, and I'm going to look at the one that's at the top. You'll see next to funding, CFY 2015, that's City Fiscal Year 2015, just to give you an idea of where we are close to ending the previous fiscal year. So last fiscal year in 2015, we received a total of $32.5 million in CSBG funding for programming and other expenses. To date, we are at probably about 92% expended. We're at just under $30 million that we've expended, and we expect to, as we have in the past, get up to at least 98%. There are a lot of expenses that providers are still submitting that we are still accepting between now and probably the next couple months. So that's what it looks like for the state of the previous budget, FY15. And are there any questions on 15 before I move on to 16? 16 is the longer chart. There's not a whole lot to report there because we just started that particular year. The one thing I will note is that the total funding for 16 did go up a little bit between 500,000, 550 to 33.1 million. That we have available for 16, and we did an RFP earlier this year. Those contracts are in place. They've been in place effective July 1st. The expenses you see are low because we're talking about we are less than, just about a quarter in, and some of those contracts that start a little bit late, but we'll see those expenses and we'll continue to monitor it and report out to the board in the upcoming meetings. But that is the financial report. Are there any questions on 16?
questions on the report, I'll entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
So moved.
Very properly moved. Say your name, please.
Gregory Bender?
Is there a second?
Second.
Very properly seconded by Melissa. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstaining, there being none, so moved. Thank you for the report, Alan. Next up is Sandy.
347, we have another representative from the Controller's Office.
Okay.
Children.
How do you pronounce the last name?
Children.
Okay. So we have another member here from Controller Scott Springer's office that needs to be voted in. Anna Choreno. Okay. Hi, Anna. Okay. So would you like to introduce yourself to the board?
My name is Ana Chireno. I'm from the New York City Comptroller's Office. I'm a community liaison. I work in the borough of Brooklyn.
Okay, great. Well, welcome, and we appreciate it. So the board is starting to grow. We're starting to see some diversity here, so that's great. So with that said, I entertain a motion to recognize the new member, Anna Choreno, to the board.
Karen is so moved.
Second?
Been moved, properly second. Gregory Bender. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstained, there being none, so moved. Anna, we welcome you to the board. You can feel free to come and sit in one of the chairs up here up front if you'd like to. Next up, we're going to have a report for our Commissioner, Sandy Gutierrez.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Sandy Gutierrez. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Community Development. We have a lot of exciting news for you today in this report. So the first is that July 1, we started the new three-year cycle for the NDA contract. You know how long we've been waiting for that to happen. So it has happened. You may remember that these contracts were a product of the community assessment conducted in 2013. Presently, DYCD has the following contracts for each of the 7 program areas. There are 37 for high school youth, 34 for healthy families, 31 for seniors, 31 contracts for housing, 27 contracts for opportunity youth, 20 for adult literacy, and 13 for immigration, for a total of 93 contracts. That's a lot of contracts, right? You should be proud. In addition, there was 15 contracts that are yet to be awarded for various reasons. Some contracts have yet to be awarded because the initial awardee withdrew or some other reason. But DYCD is identifying potential community-based organizations with the capacity and experience to take these contracts, and we hope that these contracts will be executed shortly. I know we're, as the staff, is really working hard to get them out. On Tuesday marked the 9th year of the Dads Take Your Child to School Day campaign. This year, there were over 800 sites across the state, including 720 within our city, that were registered and participated in this event. We're excited to reach our goal of 1,000 sites next year. Now, when I came to DYCD, it was the first event that the commissioner threw me into, kind of like the first week, and that was so exciting, because obviously it's big significance for our young people, for our children to be taken. They think that's so important, so that's why that's such an important event. We really want to give special thanks again this year to Greg Hambrick and Models for their continued support, as families can still use the 15% off coupon to purchase much needed back to school supplies. Greg, you know what that means, right? I mean, that's an amazing thing that you do, and we really appreciate it. I'm sure I speak for everyone here. I'm also glad to report that this year joining our commissioner were representatives from the administration for the Children's Services and the Department of Education, as well as NDA's Brooklyn Nets. Now, Mike Barber was teaching me how to say that. The new small forward, Wanda Collins, right? Did I say that right?
Yep.
Okay. Jefferson joined our commissioner to stand up with the dads in Brooklyn to walk their kids to school. That was awesome. I wasn't there, but I hear it was amazing. Starting next year, community, now this is a big deal for us because we're going to have to really, really pay attention, and so will you because of this new compliance measure. So starting next year, the community action agencies across the country are expected to meet more comprehensive compliant measures and organizational standards, which were issued by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Community Services. Many of the members of the board will recall last year that DYCD participated in a comprehensive organizational review and evaluation conducted by the New York State Department of State. You may also remember that DYCD was rated favorably by the state, and in part that is because of the wonderful work that the staff does, but it's also because you also comply with things like, you know, what you're asking them to do outside, so that all the paper, all the documentation is correct when auditors come and say, is DYCD doing the right things, and are we exercising our responsibility as we should? As DYCD undergoes the process of responding to and adopting these new organizational standards, we will look at ways to keep you informed and involved, so stay tuned. You'll be hearing different reports about that. This summer, we've worked very hard with an organization called Resilience Advocacy Project, or RAP, to raise awareness about the NAB membership among young adults. And some of you have already said that, you know, we should have young people to speak, to present, and to be on the board. As you know, young people need a voice in our city and a place at the table so that they can be part of the solution and not the problem. For this reason, tonight, you will be presented with an action item to consider lowering the age of the board membership to 16 years of age. As an agency whose goals are to include serving young people and engaging them in the community, we're really excited about this new development in the history of the NAB program. And finally, in my report is SYP. I know you all want to hear about that. So there's going to be a presentation that Chris is going to make in a little while. I do want to take a few minutes to begin that conversation. We had tremendous success this summer, reaching many more young people than we ever have before. I'm going to let Chris tell you about it, but I also wanted to tell you, I wanted to take a moment to say that it was Chris's first year doing the SYP, and he did such a great job. I mean, there was all kind of monkey wrenches in there, and you know, moving pieces, and more kids, and more money, and you never think about that as a problem. But when you have to accommodate all those young people and spend all that money, it is a big feat. So please give him a great hand. And that's the conclusion of my report.
Thank you, Sandy. Definitely some exciting stuff. Any questions for anything on Sandy's report? Anything anybody wants to reference?
Not a question, but I just want to double my kudos for the work that DYCD.
Can you repeat that, please?
Just want to second the kudos for the work that folks at DYCD did to implement bringing in so many summer jobs at the last minute that came from the city council. I know that is not easy to do. So I just wanted to second that.
Yeah. Thanks for recognizing that. Chris, you're like a superstar. Get a good man. Any other questions, responses? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the commissioner's report. Move.
Second.
Been properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstained, there being none, so moved. All right, so next up is Chairman's and Executive Committee report. I don't have anything specific on my report other than the Executive Committee met as we usually do prior to this board meeting, so I'm really going to just jump into the committee reports. For governance, Joseph Pierre is not present here today, but Melissa sits on the governance committee. And we do have 2 action items to address as part of the governance committee report. And the language and the specifics is outlined in your manual, but one is lowering the age of the NAB membership to 16, which kind of coincides with what Sandy just said in terms of getting youth more involved in community work and with the NAB. So I'm just going to ask Melissa to briefly just talk about why we came to that decision.
Hi. Y'all can hear me?
Everybody hear me good?
Everybody.
So, so we're changing, the proposal for the age change was to complement what's going on at the community board level and really engage our youth, especially us being the organization, or DYCD being the organization to fund youth programs throughout New York City. We thought it made a lot of sense to marry that together. So previously we were accepting 18-year-olds, and the community boards now are accepting 16 years old. Some of our Brooklyn members know our Brooklyn Borough president was making a big, strong push for that as well, and had a big training down at Brooklyn Borough Hall for that for our youth. So hopefully, we see him later today.
Hopefully.
We can let him know that, hey, guess what? Now you can do it all over again, or the kids that didn't make it onto the community board get to now serve on their local NEB as well. So, so that's basically the mindset that we went with. And it's a good way to engage them civically, just serving in their local community. Does anybody have any questions first before we move forward? No. Well, this is an easy crowd today. So the language that we're looking to change is that, and forgive me, I left my glasses at home, is to change the old language. To be appointed to NAB, a person must meet the following age requirement: be at least 18 years of age. To be changed to be at least 16 years of age. So we have to take that vote. So can I accept the motion to make the change? So moved by Peter Weiss. I would like to second. Seconded by Jacqueline De Leon. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Be quiet. Abstain? So moved. Thank you.
Great.
All right. You want to do the second one? I hate these things. Okay, ready? So we're looking well, I hate them. All right, so we're also looking to change the length of term. Woo, I cannot see a thing.
Well, let me lead into it.
Yeah, please, because I can't. My eyes are killing me.
So if you remember at the last couple of meetings, you know, it seemed like we were always voting in new terms for members because they kind of overlap. So when the state visited and did their checks and their audit at DYCD, they suggested that we do 6-year terms. So it's kind of more of an administrative kind of smooth over to make it easier to keep members in, and so that we don't have so much overlapping in terms of having to re-vote members in. So basically, again, in your package, you're going to see a list of names with the start date of the terms for all those members. So we're looking to change that language to a period of 6 years. These are for community members, by the way. This is not private sector members. So these are for the community members. So,
if you're looking for it in the package, is the page that says proposed action items across the top for the governance committee.
right
So you
under
can read it.
right under lowering the age of the NAB membership.
It's on August the 19th. I don't know what page.
So it's basically a change of term limits to 6 years. Any questions on that? Okay, so if not, let's vote on these separately. Well, actually, we already voted on the first proposed item. So we basically, if I can go to the names, and I really don't want to read through all the names because they're listed here, but I just want to recognize the top of the page says the Community Action Board. Does everyone see that?
Yep, yellow.
It's a separate sheet? There you go. So those are the names. So we have the updated term dates. We have the original term dates, and then you have the updated term dates. So we want to entertain a motion to accept the updated term dates for the members that are listed there to coincide.
Right.
Oh, my apologies. So we got to vote on the action item. Okay, I skipped a step. So let's vote on the action item to do the 6-year change. So can I entertain a motion to make the necessary change to the action item?
Mr. Chief, Gloria Benfield, I make a motion that we accept the action item number 2 in changing the statute to the single 6-year term.
Okay, it's been properly motion.
Jack Riddle, second.
Seconding, all in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Abstained? There being none, so moved. Now we can move to accept the members' updated term limits. Thanks for being patient with me with that. So can I entertain a motion to accept the updated term limits for the members listed on the sheet there?
The ones who are on the list should still get to vote.
Sure. Everybody gets a vote. Yeah, you remember you get to vote. Unless you don't want to. Did I see a motion?
Yes, Jack Riddle.
Okay, Jack.
A motion to accept the change in term limits from 3 years to 6 years?
No, we're voting on, we did that already. We're voting to accept the
So accept the breakdown, you have to read everyone's...
No, you don't.
Okay, so we accept the changes as per the action item list.
Okay, perfect.
Second.
And it's been properly seconded. All in favor? Say aye. Okay. Those opposed? Abstained? There being none, so moved. So thank you for those changes there. Next up will be Program Committee. It's Melissa to give our committee report on the Program Committee. As far as the Participation Committee, Sandy is en route. She got stuck in the traffic, so not sure she's gonna be here to present, so we can probably table the feedback on that committee report, just to see if she'll make it here by the end of the meeting. So we'll go over the participation, the program.
So this presentation, rather than, and for the new members, program committee basically receives presentations from the agencies that DYCD funds through Community Service Block Grant funding. And so they come and they tell us about the programs that they do and how they serve the community. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I hear.
I'm sorry. I know I'm from Brooklyn. I just want to make sure y'all hear me. So the last 2 meetings, though, we had presentations from DYCD, which were really, really insightful. And this being one of them. And it really helped to understand how DYCD works directly with the organizations and the staff that receive the funding under us. So this presentation was with the Mental Health Association. So basically, they walk through the whole process of how they assist youth. They also oversee the, what's that phone number? It's a 246 something. It's like a suicide prevention hotline. And I apologize because it was a little while ago and I have a lot on my mind. But they did provide a lot of really, really good information. You can certainly click through this. I apologize that I don't have a better presentation to give you. But I'm telling you that the women that presented, and her name is here, help me, I can't see. What's her name? Christina Harris. She gave a really, really great presentation about, again, about the services, so case management training. And that's really all I have to say about it. It was very insightful. I mean, they literally kept me closed-mouthed. I had nothing to ask, because typically at one of those presentations, I asked like 200 questions. And in this situation, I really had not even one question to ask. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Any questions on program committee report?
Abstain. So moved.
Can I entertain a motion to accept Melissa's program report, committee report? I'm sorry, you had your hand up, just state your name for the record. All right, it's been properly moved and seconded by Jacqueline. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained, there being none, so moved. So for the participation report, the only item that was discussed was actually changing the name of the participation committee to the Strategic Partnerships Committee. And I'm just going to ask Joe C. to just come and explain why the name change was suggested.
So, yeah, can you hear me? Okay. All right, so it was Sandy's thought, and it's in line with what we're trying to do also at DRCD, to sort of, be continually expanding the role of CAB and getting involved in things that we have been, trying to do for years. So it fits right into everything that Deputy Commissioner Gutierrez is doing, and then as well as what London Force to do, to expand your role to be more of a partner with us in the community, more of an advocate partner with some of the different sectors of New York City where we have not been doing that in the past. So we want to, utilize all the talent that we have here as much as we can. And so to that end, Sandy Myers was saying that she would like to see the name change of the committee to reflect that. So that besides just doing participation in terms of getting involved in community events that we do and stuff like that, to reflect a higher level of activity. So to change the name from participation to Strategic Partnerships Committee. And so that was her proposal, is to change that name from participation to Strategic Partnerships.
Okay, thank you, Joe. So any questions on that? So it's really, the work continues, but it's focusing more on the partnership aspect, because it's more than the participation committee. So are there any questions at all on the name change? And if not, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the name change. It's been properly moved by Peter Weiss.
Second.
And second, Gregory Bender. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstained, there being none, so moved. All right, that concludes the committee reports. Next up, I'm going to ask Christopher Lewis, who's like the superstar of the month right now, to come up. Christopher Lewis is the director of the Summer Youth Employment Program, and as Sandy alluded to, they had tremendous success this year and a lot of highlights, and Chris is going to go through a presentation. I believe there's some handouts on your desk that have been passed around as well that has some of that information. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, board. If anyone who knows me closely knows that I'm definitely not a glory hog. I'm the type of person that takes compliments well, and unfortunately, having said that, I know it's probably going to come up as deflection, but and maybe it is a little bit of deflection, but it's still true. The work that we did this summer is truly a testament to all the work the team over in our SYP unit and our other workforce areas for DYCD have been able to do on the ground. So it's definitely not one person when it comes to these programs. It's a united effort both within DYCD and also with a number of you around this room. So again, I can't take the credit. It's you guys deserve all the applause for all the work we did this summer. So having said that, let's talk about what we did this summer. Right? This summer, one of the, aside from the typical goal that we have for SYP every year, which is to try to provide and increase the number of summer job opportunities to New York City youth between the ages of 14 and 24. That's always a goal for DYCD and for the mayor, simply because the demand far outstrips the supply in most cases when it comes to workforce opportunities for people over the summer. But a number of other areas that we targeted this summer to try to improve was to increase the number of private sector work sites for our young people, trying to improve the variety in job opportunities for the young people that take part in the program, as well as increasing the level of services for a few of our key program areas, namely our Lives for Leaders program and our Vulnerable Youth program. And I'll get into depth into what those programs are in a second, but just an overview of the program and what our goals were this summer. So to that effect, the total program funding, I'm going to go into the stats on this form here now. Great feedback somehow?
Yeah.
So the program was funded to the level of nearly $80 million this summer, compared to about $66 million in funding that we received last year. A great portion of that money was, as Mr. Bender alluded to, due to a large funding influx from the City Council, about $21 million that we received to provide services for an additional 13 to about 15,000 young people, as well as the $3.8 million that we receive pretty much annually from the Community Services Block Grant, which helped to provide services for close to just over 2,600 young people this summer. The total level of enrollment this year was 54,263 young people served in the Summer Youth Employment Program. A record for DYCD's involvement in the Summer Youth Employment Program. It was a monster, but we thank everyone that's given resources, providing network opportunities for providing new work sites for our young people. All of these things serve to help create a more robust and impactful program, and the fact that we can actually show not just in terms of the specific service, but in the volume served this summer, I think is very important, and we're really, really proud about that here at DYCD. We recruited over 9,000 work sites this summer, up from about 8,400 from last year. And the amount of funding that went directly to wages for young people in the program was nearly $54 million. So as you can see, the great majority of the money that we received for the program went directly into the hands of the young people that we aim to serve, which also then is a benefit to the communities that they're from, because those funds are going to be spent right there in those communities that they live in. As I mentioned, the Lives for Leaders program, for those of you that don't know, that's our high-level professional internship program. Last year we served about 400, just under 500 young people in the program. This year we doubled that number to over 1,000 young people in our Lives for Leaders program. In the nature of doubling service levels for our Vulnerable Youth program, which is special programs, special service options made available to young people who are facing extensive barriers to employment, such as being runaway or homeless, receiving in foster care, being court of justice involved, or receiving ACS preventative services. We typically serve about 1,000 young people in that service area. This year we doubled that number as well to over 2,000 young people in Vulnerable Youth service option. And then on the bottom here, I'm just going to kind of briefly, in the interest of time, I know we have to get out of here before Il Papa makes his way downtown and complicates things. But as part of our private sector campaign, we really wanted to focus on increasing the number of private sector work sites. Last year we had about 22,000 work sites. This year we got that number close to about 3,000, taking our total allotment of private sector work sites compared to overall work sites from 28% up to about 35% of our total work site portfolio. This covered a range of industries, 17 in total, including healthcare, retail, legal services, manufacturing, hospitality, tourism, just a wide breadth of employment opportunities for young people in the program this summer. The next page has a few graphs and charts showing a few of the key sector areas that we were able to provide worksite opportunities for our young people. And the next chart shows the growth in those specific sectors. Key highlight to our healthcare and hospitality sectors, where we essentially doubled the number of work sites in those areas from last year to this year. And in the marketing and public relations sector, we actually tripled the number, or nearly tripled the number of work sites in that field as well. On the next page, we have a breakdown of how the work sites fell out in terms of borough location. A key aspect of the program is to make sure that we have opportunities available for young people where they live. And to that end, we wanted to show that all of these work opportunities aren't all sitting here in Manhattan. We wanted to make sure they're out in the outer boroughs where the vast majority of the young people that we serve actually live. So to that effect, Brooklyn had 38% of the work sites that we developed for SYEP, followed closely by Queens at 28%, Manhattan at 21%, and then the Bronx and Staten Island at 11 and 6 respectively. And then at the bottom of this sheet, I just wanted to have a bit of a highlight of a few specific employers that fall into a couple of key areas that were key sectors that were targeted in the Mayor's Career Pathways report. In the healthcare field, we had Maimonides Medical Center, which is a very strong SYEP work site, and typically takes anywhere in the realm of 100 to close to 200 young people in their internship programs over the summer. We also recently recruited St. Jude Medical Center and the Morningside Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. In the technology sector, the mayor's chief technology officer, Minerva Tamtoko, was actually able to put us in contact with key people at AOL and Pandora to help us provide placements for young people in those agencies and those organizations as well. And Metadata was another new technology organization that had a very exciting worksite opportunity for our young people. In the industrial field, we had the Brooklyn Navy Yard, as well as KVAC and Arista Air Conditioning, actually the company of one of the members of the Youth Council. Craig is very familiar. He actually put forth his own company as a work site this summer and took on a few young people hosted a few young people for SYEP over the summer. And in retail, of course, I have to give a shout out to Modell's. Well over 100 young people placed across 25 stores, I believe it was, or 25 stores across the city. A massive effort that we think we can't thank you enough for how much work you did in that area to help get all these stores on board and yes, he deserves that. For help making that happen, it was a tremendous help to our efforts this year in increasing the number of private sector placements for SYEP. So thank you very much for that effort, as well as Marshalls and Walgreens. The next and the last page is just kind of just want to give you another, some more employer highlights. A bit of a word cloud there, just showing some of the employment opportunities that we had specifically in our Ladders for Leaders program options. So we had, previously mentioned AOL, Pandora. We also have KPMG there available to young people. Previously mentioned Metadata, Deloitte, Pax, JP Morgan, Bank of America. So just to give a sense that of the kind of litany and widespread of opportunities that we're providing for young people, this past summer, and what we want, the types of opportunities that we want to provide for young people going forward. And we hope, our mission and our plan is to not have this be kind of a one-off and really work to engage and retain these partnerships and these employers to take part in the program going forward. And then yes, I touched briefly on how Ladders increased last year from 475 to over 1,000. We increased the number of tech job placements in Ladders from 44 last year to 203. We had 93 jobs in the financial sector for Ladders, and then lastly, the last thing I want to touch on is the fact that we had over 29 city agencies and elected officials' offices that came to the plate to help us find placements for other people. Again, this was very much a concerted effort. I think in the past, and kind of the general operation of government sometimes is to operate in silos. You have a mission, you have a job that you want to do and a way that you want to provide services, that sometimes you don't get an opportunity to realize the resources that are available to you just right outside your door. And within city government, there were so many opportunities with the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. We had young people in DNA crime lab working, young people that are going to like John Jay, learning about forensic science, actually being able to get a placement in the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. It's like, why not utilize those connections? It's another city agency. We can absolutely work to create that link and provide that opportunity for young people. Office of Media and Entertainment, Office of IT, do it. Across the board, so many opportunities that we can find within other city agencies for young people, and our commissioner, reached out to his contact commissioners from the other agencies, and were able to actually get quite a wide range and variety of agency partners to take part in SYP this past summer. I'm really proud of that fact. And with that, that's all I go over for SYP. Are there any questions about what I presented so far?
Yes. I wanted to know how many, do you have the percentages of how many kids got to keep some of those jobs?
So that's something that we're actively working on this summer. The summer program, although the young people actually stopped working in the middle of August, there is a closeout package, a closeout process that we're doing with the providers right now to kind of give us a sense of where they stand with the young people. That they do some follow-up to survey the young people and see the young people and the employers to see how many young people have been retained at their businesses, how many young people have found some other employment through the program, things of that nature. So I don't have the number for you right this instant, but it's something that we're working to find.
And then two more things. One is, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Somebody else wants to say something. Oh, go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
What are the ages of the kids?
So the program ranges from ages 14 to 24.
All right. So I'll talk to you later because I think I could hire somebody this summer.
Great. Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, I just got a question from the Bronx. Montefiore Hospital is the largest employer in the borough. Are they involved in the SYP yet?
Yes, Marshallou.
Montefiore, the community center.
Yeah.
They've been involved. They've been terrific. But I mean the hospital.
Right, and I believe they have
Hospital.
placements through the hospital as well. I was mentioning specifically as the partner group that actually works with the hospital to provide placements for young people. So yes, we definitely have that.
It all sounds wonderful, but Bronx is so poor, at 11%. So maybe next year we can. But it sounds phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to know.
Sorry.
No, I was telling you to give him the mic.
How do you recruit private sector on the website for the SYEP program?
So the typical process that we go through for SYP is that we contract with nonprofit organizations around the city to provide services to young people, and part of the services that we ask them to provide in their contract is also the worksite development. So a lot of times they'll canvas small private businesses or even larger businesses in their area to try to bring them on and take on the young people that they're actually going to be providing some of the career readiness and other workshops that they're receiving prior to the start of the summer. But this year and other years, we also at DYCD ourselves actually take a pretty active role in trying to help recruit some websites through our own contacts, and then tie those contacts with one of our partnering CBOs to provide a worksite placement for the young people that they're serving. So that's essentially it's multi-pronged. It's not just that the provider is the only one doing the work to try to find these private sector worksites, but then we also on our end work to try to find opportunities for young people to then tie them to some of these CBOs that are in the boroughs.
Can I add that, I want to add that the Commissioner Chong has been personally involved in getting these work sites. I mean, he's actually recruited many of the city agencies himself, and many of the other private sector participants, because he actually goes to meet with them. If he has a contact that he thinks will give us another, I mean, really, he's taken this work on in ways that usually commissioners are, you know, stepped away from that level of work. But the other thing that we did this summer that I thought deserved mention was that we worked with Damon, John. You wanna tell the story?
Yeah. So thank you, Sandy. Yeah, great. You know, a great point to bring up is in part of our efforts to try to increase the number of private sector work sites and just kind of utilize the young people, you know, the people that have some affiliation with the program, know what it represents, yet are also in the world of business and in the private sector. We actually, it came kind of out of the blue. We don't really know how it actually started, but Damon John's people actually approached us. Damon John, for those of you that don't know, is the creator of FUBU clothing, as well as a member of Shark Tank, the television show. So the commissioner always likes to make the joke that you can always tell the age of the room by who resonates with the FUBU part and who resonates with the Shark Tank part. So yeah, he actually reached out to us and said, you know, hey, actually, you know, my first job was actually working at a park in SYP, and you know, anything that I can do to help, you know, raise the profile of the program, I'd be more than happy to do that. So our press team reached out to him, and they worked with him to help develop a PSA that we're planning to hopefully release to the general public soon, both for participants, again, you know, the young people that actually are familiar with Shark Tank, as well as to help engage employers and you know, get them to take on young people and say, hey, look, we did. He actually, his you know, his management company, Shark Branding, actually hosted 2 SYP participants this summer and had a very, very positive experience. So you know, that's you know, one of the ways. Again, it's, you know, it's been a wide gamut of methods that we've been using to try to you know, for our worksite development, both formal and informal. You know, I'm going to talk to Peter after I leave here. So, you know, it just goes to show that we're really trying to exhaust all avenues in terms of providing, you know, worthwhile experiences for you.
So my other 2 questions were, one is, does DYCD also provide like sexual harassment trainings or anything like that in addition to the SYEP? Like, do we pull the kids away and give them?
So part of SYEP, it's not just about the actual worksite placement. A big part of the program is that the young people actually receive workshops on work readiness, career exploration, financial literacy, and opportunities to continue education. You know, part of the work readiness training is definitely the you know, the do's and don'ts of the workplace environment. How you should dress, how you should carry yourself. You know, how you should speak to you know, a fellow employee or a supervisor versus someone that you just, you know, one of your friends, things of that nature. And you know, sexual harassment is a very key and important part of the curriculum that we developed for the providers to deliver to the young people, explaining the importance of that topic and how to make sure that the young people are doing everything they can to make sure that they're, you know, not putting themselves in positions to hurt or be hurt by people in the workplace environment.
When dealing with finding providers, do we work with any small businesses?
So
part 1, and then part 2, what type of oversight, to follow up to Melissa's question, what type of oversight is available to ensure that training, those workshops are being carried out with the summer youth while they're on site at the job?
So when you're asking how the providers, you mean the service providers that are actually doing the recruitment of the young people and the employers?
Right, for example, small businesses.
Right.
So we reach out and work with small businesses. And if so, how do they get involved?
In terms of small businesses, I think you're asking about work sites, which is the actual placement where the young people are actually working, right? That's more what you're asking about. So our nonprofit CDOs are responsible for making sure that they provide training and orientation for the employer work sites before they take on any young people for the summer. And you know, we go over what they're allowed to do in the workplace, because again, we're you know, are in a lot of cases high school age, and 14 to 15-year-olds, and there's certain things that they're absolutely not allowed to do in terms of working with heavy machinery and tools and things of that nature. So these are all things that we instruct. We have the tools developed, to arm and equip the CBO providers to then distribute to the work sites before they take on young people for the summer, and make sure that it's a safe environment before anyone even walks through the door.
There's also the monitors that you send out.
Yes.
Am I talking about the monitors that you
Sure.
send out from DYCD?
We also require the CBO nonprofit organizations to make weekly visits to the work sites throughout the summer while the young people are working there. And also DYCD ourselves actually sends out we have a stable of field supervisors that actually go out and monitor the sites unannounced and kind of at random on top of the monitoring that the CBOs do as well. So that's how we try to make sure everything's done.
Yeah, just to touch on that real quick. So Mobels, we hired 125 this summer, 96 directly from Chris and his team. And he did a tremendous job, and then the remaining from providers who I had experience working with in the past with SYEP. And a big component of that, we hired in 25 store locations and in our distribution center in the Bronx. And I spent time in the stores and at the distribution center. And as Sandy alluded to, they did have monitors come in weekly to not only check on the participants, but to see them actually doing the job. So part of the prep that I did for the participants, the supervisors had the job description, so they knew a little bit about the job they were going to do, so they could come in and see if they were providing the job as expected. And I think that's a key, you wrote a good point. I think it's a key component of the success of the program, and to make sure that they're getting provided the real world experience. And then the other thing that Melissa touched on that I think is certainly a component that can't be ignored is, free labor is good. My company loves me because, we can give free labor, but at the end of the day, if there's an opportunity to put that person on for a permanent position, then we should do that. And we hired 10% of that 125, maybe 8. But we hired a good bit of those participants in permanent jobs in our distribution center and in the stores, and it helped them for the back to school season. So what you're seeing here, and I'll let other people ask the question because I've been involved with it, is really concerted effort by a lot of parties here. They got creative in so many ways to decide how are we going to make SYEP much better than the previous years? How are we going to add more private sector work sites? How are we going to get more opportunities for the young people? How are we going to promote it and erase the stigma of SYEP and participants? And what you see and what you hear from Chris and Sandy and everyone at DYCD is really a group effort of all those individuals working together to make that happen. Look at that number, 54,000 kids. I mean, that's incredible. And there's an opportunity to increase that even further.
So for perspective, something that someone actually mentioned to me, and I forget to bring it up every time I come up to this presentation, is that the number, the 54,000 young people served number was actually posed to some people upstate in Albany, and someone brought up the point and said, 54,000 people is actually larger than about 17 of our counties. There's 17 counties in New York City that have fewer people in them than the number of people we served with SYP this summer. So, I think it's something that we're very proud of, and it's not something that we take lightly. I think it's a very, very true testament to all the work that everyone that's been involved with the programs.
We have time for one more question. I know we want to get everybody out, but
So, just hearing that.
Can I just have your name?
Monica Matrix. The aftercare of the questions that you're going to follow up with the employers. Have you considered asking the young people what their experience was like, and then how to gauge their response, so helping them, move forward in thinking about jobs and careers?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a part of the program model where we actually survey the young people after they completed their work in the program. Also for our younger youth cohort, it's actually built into the work hours that they have, that they spend 5 of the 20 hours allotted for the week at the provider organization, actually reflecting on the week of work that they had gone through 4 days prior. So they actually spend time talking about what's happened on the job, what are the things we've experienced, how, bringing up some scenarios and interactions that they've had at work and talking about how to navigate them so that they can be better prepared for the future. So it's something that we absolutely have built into the program.
I can be a testimony because I participated 2 years SYEP when I was in high school. Right now I'm here.
You hear so many stories of people that had some involvement in SYEP in their youth, and then they've gone on to do great things. We absolutely want to hear more stories like yours, and be able to actually use that for some of our future marketing, like we did with Damon John, and just kind of highlight, like Greg alluded to, that there's sometimes a stigma to the idea of SYEP because it's a lottery, because it's a social service program, and where some of the young people are coming from. But I think people need to recognize that there's a level of enthusiasm and interest and passion that some of these young people have that just isn't coming across when you just look at where they're coming from, the backgrounds that they're coming from, wherever have you. So we really need to make sure that we get that point across, that they're willing, they're eager and enthusiastic about working, and we want to make sure everyone knows that, kind of doesn't let that point get glossed over.
I just so you know, I was a SYP kid. Yep. Grew up on the Lower East Side. On the Lower East Side, my first job was teaching art to special needs kids who kind of just threw me up in the air, but they were all bigger than me.
Look at you now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate it. Give Chris a hand. All right, is there any old business that we need to discuss? Old business. Any new business? I have one bit of new business. So Sandy Myers is here. She finally made it through the traffic, and she sits on the executive committee, but she was a single woman at the last meeting, and now she's married. So congratulations, Sandy, on I don't know if you still have the same last name or.
I do still the same last name.
Oh, okay.
Still Sandy.
All right, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Any other new business?
So I have a quick announcement. So this indirectly doesn't have anything to do with what we're discussing, but I just wanted to announce to everybody that on September the 30th at the Hostos Community College, there's going to be a presentation for military academy placements. It's September the 30th, Hostos Community College, and it's to discuss students going to military service school, graduating completely free, and graduating as officers, and then entering into the military, where a lot of our students or a lot of our kids, you may or may not know, are coming into the military as low-ranking enlisted, and then coming out maybe as without any kind of credentials, whereas if they go into a military academy, they will graduate as officers and go into the military with a much higher standing. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other new business? Okay, just one reminder again, if you haven't done so, the conflict of interest form and the associate contact form, if you haven't filled that out, I know a couple of people came in late. They're all located in the lobby. Please fill that out before you leave. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's been moved.
Second.
Properly second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Have a good evening. You're home safe. Good seeing you. Thank you.